No matter what your price point is for your next dinner party, a little bit of planning will make sure that you are gonna maximize whatever that budget is and serve your guests really delicious food. So here's how I would do a dinner party for 4 people with 3 different budgets: $25, $100, and $1,000. So for the $25 meal, I'm keeping things real streamlined. There's not gonna be any fancy appetizers or desserts. I'm just gonna make one really delicious and filling main course. And I'm even gonna use that cooking wine, the extras that's left over, so that my guest and I can each have a glass of wine also. I'm gonna make a mushroom risotto, and I'm gonna serve it with some roasted asparagus spears. I'm gonna start by sauteing an onion and some olive oil. I'm gonna add some garlic, I'm gonna add my mushrooms, and I'm gonna season it all with some salt and pepper. I'm gonna add the arborio rice, which is a really short grain rice that you use when you're making risotto, and I'm gonna toast it in the oil before adding a little bit of white wine for some more flavor. The wine I used to cook my risotto with is none other than Trader Joe's 2-buck chuck. Okay, well, I don't know, maybe it's $3 now, but it's perfect because it's a great value, a great budget, and it's great because when you're cooking, you don't necessarily have to worry about, if the wine is like super tasty and delicious. Although, I thought it was fine, so of course I had a glass and I offered a glass to my guest. I mean, who's gonna turn down wine? Nobody's turning down wine. Then I'm gonna add my vegetable broth. I'm gonna stir in some butter and some Parmesan cheese and top it off with some fresh parsley. And I'm gonna serve that risotto with some asparagus spears that have been roasted in the oven with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. I added some fresh chopped parsley to kind of finish off my risotto because a fresh herb, it just adds brightness and a lot of flavor and also a little bit of color. Thing about fresh herbs, they're actually really inexpensive. You can get a bunch of them at your grocery store or at the market, usually for under $1. If my guests wanted to bring something, honestly, I'd welcome just about anything to, add a little extra something to the meal. Dessert would be awesome. They could also bring another bottle of wine because all we have is the leftover wine from the wine that we cooked the risotto with. Please bring wine. Okay, I have to admit, the $25 meal, honestly, I think it's delicious and perfect as it is. $100 budget is way more realistic for a dinner party for 4. My dinner party for 4 with my $100 budget has 3 courses. The first course is a yummy salad. The second course is gonna be stuffed Cornish hens with potatoes and green beans. And we're even having dessert. Your girl is making a pound cake. I also have some little olives for my guests to munch on when they arrive to my home so that no one is even a little bit hungry at any point during this dinner party. For the first course, I'm gonna make an arugula salad that's topped with some goat cheese crumbles, some pomegranate seeds to add some really bright color and that burst of tart, sweet juiciness that you get from them. I'm also adding some chopped walnuts, and we're gonna use a balsamic vinaigrette to top everything off with. So walnuts can be a little bit pricey, but I bought these in bulk, so I didn't have to buy a whole pound because you don't need a pound of walnuts in a salad. And I think that they're worth it because they're really just gonna balance out this salad because it's got a little bit of sweetness from those pomegranate seeds and even our balsamic vinaigrette. For the second course, I'm making roasted Cornish hens. I got 2 Cornish hens because each one serves about 2 people, and I roasted them in the oven. I smeared them all over with butter and with seasoning, and I just cooked them until they were nice and golden and brown and kind of crispy on top. So I'm serving my roasted Cornish hens with parsley potatoes, which I cook by sauteing my potatoes in some butter, and then I season them with salt, pepper, and parsley. And I've also got some green beans that I steamed. I wanted them to still have a little bit of bite to them. And then I just drizzled a little bit of olive oil and again, a little bit of salt and pepper. So for my $100 dinner party, I actually got to make dessert this time because I had a little bit of money left over in the budget. So I made a pound cake. And I made a cake because when my guests walk into my home, I want them to see the cake. It's a centerpiece for the table, and I want them to like really get excited about what's to come. So to make my pound cake, I used butter, cream cheese, sugar, eggs, flour, a little bit of vanilla, and to make the glaze, I made a really simple glaze with confectioner sugar and just a little bit of water. I did not want to blow my whole $100 budget on wine, so I only picked up one bottle, but I got a pretty decent Pinot Noir that was about $13. I mean, the thing about having a dinner party, hosting people in your home, spending the time to figure out the menu, shop for it, and cook for them, it's all just like one big active way to give people a hug and let them know that you love them and that they're special. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. $100 is really all you need to throw a nice dinner party and even have wine. But if you want to splurge and you want to go all the way, you can throw a dinner party and spend $1,000. It is possible, and I'm going to explain to you just what I did to, just go completely off the deep end and spend $1,000 on dinner for four that I still had to cook myself and clean up after. For my $1,000 dinner party, I did consider splurging it all on like a really good vintage bottle or two of Dom Perignon. But I wanted to be practical with my $1,000. I don't know if practical and $1,000 dinner party goes in the same sentence, but I was reasonable and I only bought one good bottle of champagne, like the real stuff from Champagne, France, so that when my guests came in, they knew what was up. And what was up is that, it's gonna be a splurgy kind of evening. So for my first course, I'm serving the very fancy Spanish jamón ibérico. And I'm gonna serve it with some melon. And the sweet melon actually pairs perfectly with the ham. For the main dish, I really wanted to make sure that I was splurging on my protein. I chose to get Wagyu beef, which cost about $175 a pound, and I would need about 2 pounds to make sure that, all of my guests had their fill. And don't worry, it's not the only thing that they're eating, so it's fine. And the thing about this beef, it's just marbled with so much fat, so it actually makes it a lot easier to cook, a lot harder to screw up. I'm just gonna cook it in a really hot cast iron skillet with a little bit of butter and season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Oh my gosh, like my mouth is watering thinking about it. I'm serving my Wagyu steak with scalloped potatoes, which I went ahead and I made them before my guests got to the party, and I've also got some broccolini. I did think about serving broccoli, but this is a dinner party and I want my guests to know that I'm elevating things just for them. For dessert, I wanted to make sure I continued my trend of using top-of-the-line ingredients. And for baking, that's whole vanilla beans, and I'm even using saffron. And I wanted to make something, again, that I didn't have to worry about dealing with during my dinner party. So I made saffron and vanilla bean panna cotta, and I even made a vanilla bean whipped cream to serve on top of the panna cotta. I wanted to make sure that each wine that I served with the dish paired with the dish and was also a pretty top-of-the-line option. For dessert, that was a port wine. For my Wagyu beef, I served it with a Syrah. Oh, so good. So I'm serving my guest espresso at my $1,000 dinner party, not because it's expensive, but again, I just want my guests to have whatever it is that they would like. When I was thinking about what I wanted to serve for this meal, I realized I don't have to follow any rules because I'm the one that's paying for it. Okay, well, not really, because this is imaginary and I'm using play money, but still, it's my dinner party that I'm planning, so I'm gonna, serve what I want that I think my guests are gonna enjoy. So, I was thinking about all of these different things to really take it over the top. And, I settled on stuff that I want to eat myself, which is like a really good steak or a really good piece of ham, and always champagne. Always, always, always champagne. No matter what your price point is for your next dinner party, a little bit of planning will make sure that you are gonna maximize whatever that budget is and serve your guests really delicious food, and maybe even wine. We're making it rain with Hemon Iberico and Wagyu beef. And champagne. Make it rain champagne. Oh my God, just give me the champagne.